go get a workout in or something. Well, all right. I'm so excited for today. Good morning, you guys. What are you guys grateful for? Can we drop that in the chat? What's two, three, four things that you are extremely grateful for this morning, Wednesday morning, 9/11? Remember this special remembrance of this day. I talked about it a little bit a couple days ago on my Facebook posts, but I remember it like it was yesterday, man. What do I want to do here? So what are you guys grateful for? So today, you guys, we're going to jump right into this thing. We don't have a lot of time, but we got a lot of work to do. And so I know there's a whole bunch of people just crawling out of bed right now because we only got a few people on here. By the end of the call, we're going to have about 100 people on here. So I know folks are going to miss a lot of the first few minutes of this, but we got to jump right in because we have been working to get to what we call the health assessment, right? We've learned how to share our stories. We've learned how to work our lists. We've learned how to chop up that story and start sharing it on social media, which we're going to do. We're going to spend about 2 to 3 full days on social media starting maybe mañana. We've learned how to do all those things so that people can say, essentially, what are you doing? What are you doing? We have a heart list, and we go straight to those people. We tell them exactly what we feel. Hey, I've been thinking about you. I don't know if you're at a place right now to where you want to focus on this, but I've just felt compelled to tell you my story in case you wanted to, maybe start on your own journey. I've done that a lot over years. You'll be amazed how people say, oh my gosh, I've been thinking about you. And yes, I would love to talk. I did a health assessment last night, simply from sharing part of my story. If you go to, and she signed up. I actually need to put her order in. Thank you guys for reminding me. I just shared part of my story again today on Instagram and Facebook Messenger. I guarantee you there's going to be at least 3 to 5 people today to say, what are you doing? So once we do that, we need to now be able to build the skill set of doing a health assessment. You guys write this thing down. There's 3 parts of your business. Good morning, Jackie and Brandon, but I bet you it's just Jackie on, and she's trying to confuse me with Jackie and Brandon. I'm not going to fall for it, Jackie. Write this thing down. There's 3 parts of your business, you guys. We must get good at these 3 areas. Your skill set, how you build your skills is you get really good with practicing. You get really good with joining trainings like this. You get really good with doing the work and repetition, repetition, repetition. But if you're repeating the wrong things, then your skills, you can repeat sucky skills. So that's why it's good to get on here and get sharpened. So that's the first thing, your skill set. Next thing is your mindset. Priscilla Allen did a great video in our group last night talking about mindset. She's going to come on again and talk about mindset today. Then the last thing is your action. How do you increase your success? You just do more work. Every single day, you up the ante. We have above the line expectations in the work that we do. Whether you're building your business or whether you're going to go work for someone else, amaze them with your propensity to do the work. That's one thing that we all have control over. So let me share my screen really fast. Oh man, it's acting up. It's not going to share. I want to show you guys. How many of you guys did the homework assignment last night? And you printed out a whole bunch of health assessments? Put a 1 in the chat for me, please. How many of you guys watched the videos to get prepared up for today? Put a 2 in the chat group. So what I need you to do is we're going to dive into the health assessment today. So please have that in front of you as we go through this. We have amazing trainers that are coming on today. If you guys saw yesterday, which was Tuesday, as part of our assignments here, we had basically print out a whole bunch of health assessments. That was the first thing. So this is what we're going to go through today. So please have this in front of you because we're going to take you step by step through this thing today. Okay? So have this in front of you so that you can follow along, and let's all get really, really good with our skill set and our mindset. You guys cool with that? So I want to bring on Priscilla Allen. You guys know her, just an amazing coach. And I want Priscilla to help us figure out, before you even jump on this call, you guys pay attention to this, before you even jump on this call, how do you develop the right mindset to even go into this call? Because your success on this call happens before you even get on this call. So Priscilla, can you come on and talk to us about a healthy mindset before we even get on this thing called a health assessment?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Talking about mindset yesterday, right? We did a live yesterday on how we want to develop and expand our mindsets on a daily basis and just kind of create that habit where every day we're striving to become the best version of ourselves. And when that happens, that kind of like seeps into everything in our lives, including when we do health assessments. When I was a brand new coach, I was in the business of selling products. I would sell bank accounts, credit cards, debit cards, the whole shebang in the banking industry. And that was the mindset I had when I walked into this. I was like, oh yeah, I can totally sell a product. That won't be hard. And I remember Jamil's face is like, oh no, we have a lot of work to do here, right? Because that was what I thought. I can totally sell a product and that's great. But obviously through falling and messing up and getting up and messing up and stuff like that, you kind of learn to realize that we are really not in the business of selling a product here. We're really in the business of serving people and looking for the people that are looking for us. So it's really important to analyze our intentions from the very beginning. Like, what are your intentions when you're about to get into this health assessment? Are you desperate for frontline volume that you're just like, I don't care what I'm going to do. We got to figure out a way to get this girl on program, even if she's not ready. Is it serving you or is it serving the other person? And those are kind of like the intentions that you need to analyze before you hop on a health assessment, right? With a potential candidate. Honestly, go with the intention of finding how to serve this person. What can I do to cause breakthrough in this person's life? And that's always a challenge. And I think Annika is amazing at this. But like, what can I do to really cause, like an impact in their lives? It's not about closing a deal. It's not about closing a sale. It's not about selling a product. It's about what can I do? Like, you have to analyze what you can do and go back to the days when your coach spoke to you. What were the questions that really spoke to your heart? Like, what were the things that she said or he said that caused breakthrough in your heart that you decided to give this program a try? And we're aiming to really peel the layers on this person's heart, to get to the core of this person's heart, to connect with this person's heart, because that's what we're all about, right? We're a business, we're a relationship-based business, not a product-based business. So finding a way to connect with this person in a genuine, authentic way is the most important thing. One of the things that, my husband always tells me, like, he's like, you always find a way. Like, when you talk to your potential candidates, you're so comfortable with them. You're making them laugh and, you find an authentic way to connect with them. And that's the most important thing. Like, even though, yes, we have a health assessment in front of them, like, the most important thing is first and foremost to make them feel comfortable. Let them know, hey, I'm going to ask you a few questions if you're okay with that, right? You're setting up yourself for that place. I'm going to ask you a few questions because I need to know where you're at in terms of your goals, in terms of what you want. And I always tell them, and I want to see if this program is a match or a fit for what you're looking for. Because now I've set the intention that I'm not trying to get you here. I just want to know if my program is a fit for what you're looking for. So those are a few things I do to really get my mindset ready for that is, analyzing my intentions, asking myself the questions that my coach asked me. And then one other thing, even though it doesn't have to go with mindset, is really the respect of the privacy and the journey of the client or the potential client's health assessment, right? I've been in some trainings in the past where, like the coach will be in the car and she'll be trying to do a health assessment with her headphones on, or something like that. Respect this person's journey, and I make that an intention. Like, every time, even if I'm running late, I'll shoot them a message. I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm on my way home, literally dropping off my kids with my husband. I'm going to get on that call with you. But I will never get on a call, when I'm with headphones on, running to my house, carrying my kids or groceries or whatever. Go to a quiet place and let them know that you absolutely value their journey. So that means quiet. That means being intentional. That means when you're about to do a health assessment or you're on a health assessment, you're not scrolling through Facebook or Instagram as you're listening to this person share their heart with you. It means giving this person your full attention. So those are a few things, Jamil, that I honestly do in the beginning of a health assessment, to make sure I prepare myself and I'm fully committed to this person when I do a health assessment with them.
I love that. Thank you so much. See, some of the things that I was writing down as Priscilla was sharing is so important. I remember, in my mind, I'm going back to 2012 when I would get off of work and I would do 5 to 8 health assessments a night. And I would remember sitting at this little makeshift desk that we had in this small apartment building over on 3rd and Temple. And I remember having all these health assessments out. And on the top of my health assessments, personally, I had a verse from one of my favorite books. And that verse just so happened to be the parable of the sower. And for me, it was just all about planting seeds. And I would say, don't let this call be about me. Like, my job in this call, my mentor used to tell me, and I would encourage you to write this down, to fall in love with their story. Write that down. Fall in love with their story. And she would always say, get lost in their story, Jamil. Because if you get lost in their story, and once your heart connects, you'll know the natural questions to ask next. Now, this is a skill set, so I'm not saying we're going to get this straight off the bat, but what we can get is to remove our ego and not make this call about us, but fall in love with where they're at in their process. And remember, we are not trying to sell and tell. We're trying to share and care. But a big part of that is we have to earn the right to share. And the way that we earn the right to share is we get really, really, really good with figuring out what they want and in awakening their intrinsic motivation. And so I want to bring on Annika Rella first so she can talk to us about this important skill set to build, which is how do you ask the questions and how do you get to what I call the nitty gritty to really find out what they want. So Annika, are you there?
I am. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
So honored to be talking a little bit this morning about, the awakening part of the health assessment. And Priscilla, you just nailed it on the head, sweet pea. It's really about setting that intention when we're getting on a health assessment about what these people need. And if we don't know what they truly desire and what they want and what they've been struggling with, we'll never know if this program's a good fit for them. So how I like to start off my health assessments is, and I'm just going to go through just how I do a health assessment, guys. I'm going to be like really real and authentic with you guys this morning. When I get on, I've got this health assessment in front of me and I've got a pencil and I really want to get to know them. So when I get on the phone or get on a Zoom with them, I first really just want to know who they are. So it's like, oh my gosh, Denise, I'm so excited to connect with you. Like, tell me a little bit about yourself. And people sometimes say, well, what do you want to know? And I'll just basically say, I don't know, give me a Cliff Notes version of Denise, right? And I'm going to use Denise as a person because I just did a health assessment on Denise last night. So I said, just give me a Cliff Notes versions of who you are. And they'll kind of tell you a little bit about who they are. And I say, well, this is awesome. I would love to get to know you more. It sounds like maybe you were interested a little bit in what I do. And I'm curious as to why you kind of reached out to me. So I allow them to kind of guide and tell me what they're interested in, right? And so with that, I'd say, okay, well, what do you want to accomplish? So that's really the first start of the health assessment and step number one in the awakening. If you guys looking at your health assessment, and just say, well, what would you like to accomplish with your health? Or sometimes I just say, well, if you could wave like a magic wand and fix all those things that aren't working for you right now, what would those things be? Right? And I allow them to tell me. So sometimes, and I'm going to go through this, the lady last night, she's like, honestly, I'm 71 years old. My hips are absolutely killing me right now. I've got 5 grandkids, and I feel like I've got this 30 extra pounds that's causing this weight. And honestly, I've struggled my whole life. I can't figure out what these things are with my weight, and it's really starting to bug me. And I said, okay, well, tell me more about that. Because I really didn't know where to go. And so that is actually one of the best questions that you can ask somebody. Well, tell me more about that. If you ever get stuck, you guys, right? But I was asking her more questions. Well, how does that make you feel? What would change if these things started to change for you? How would that make your life better? What could you start doing that you haven't been doing before? So once you figure out this first step one, on what you would like to see happen with the health assessment, go to step number 2 there. What's their main motivation for wanting to see these things happen, right? I already heard it from her. She wanted to keep up with her grandkids. Her weight was keeping her up from doing the things that she really wanted to do with them. Age was a reality now for her. This was the last good decade of her life in her 70s. I asked her, I'm like, okay, how driven are you right now to wanting to make these changes happen? That's like my number one question that I use in the second part of that health assessment. How driven are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, tell me how driven are you right now? And if they're anything less than an 8, I don't know if this is going to, move them forward, but we can try to awaken some more things. You guys, we want to quantify some of these things, right? A proper health assessment is all about skill and posture and heart. When we share these things, compose yourself with high energy, and really want to be attached to what they're doing and really feel it, just like Jamil said. Okay, well, this sounds good. Can you tell me, and this is number 3, I kind of go to this spot next. Can you tell me a time in your life where things were different? Like I hear where you are now, 70 years old, feeling like this is the last good decade. When was the best decade of your life? Tell me about that right there, right? And I allow them to reflect back and dream, right? Sometimes they're like, I don't know. One of my favorite questions too is, well, if you had to guess, when do you think this was the best time in your life, right? And I want to know what's happened between then and now that has made those changes happen. I said, so what's changed? What life events has put us into this spot, right? So after they kind of tell me that, I go to the 4th part and say, well, tell me about your health. Are you taking any medications that you have medical conditions for, or any allergies, or anything that we need to know about your physical or mental health that you're taking medications for? And this is a really good spot right here in number 4, and it kind of goes into like number 5 and number 6 and number 7, like where, they have diabetes or high blood pressure or thyroid, or maybe they're a nursing mom or things like that, which may have already been divulged in the beginning, right? But this gives us a good idea on figuring out what program is going to be the best fit for them. Okay. Now, after they go through some of this stuff, we're getting a really clear picture of who they are, what they want, why they want this so badly, what's changed in their life, what conditions may be limiting them right now to getting them where they want to be, right? And so at this point, you'll kind of see number 8 on the bottom right corner of the health assessment. You have the ability to share your story at this point. 60 to 90-second story. Okay. So if you want to do that, feel free to share it at that time. I like to share mine at the end, but it is a choice that you can make. Okay. So I will share mine at the end and tell you exactly how I do that. So I usually like to go to step 2, which is on the next page of the health assessment. And I really like to dive in a little bit deeper. And I'm like, okay, I feel like I've got a really good picture of what's going on here, but I want to know a little bit more. So Denise, run me through a typical day in the life of Denise. And they'll go, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, how's your sleep, your exercise, your stress, your food intake? Run me through a typical day. What did you do today from the moment you woke up all the way till the end? What did you eat? What did you do? Things like that. And I allow them to tell me exactly what's going on in their life. So let's say I woke up and I had a bunch of coffee. So I'm going to the food and hydration part, right? And they're talking, what time they woke up. That's part of the sleep. And I'm listening for clues. I'm allowing them to share, and I'm listening to things where I think, hey, maybe this is out of alignment for them a little bit. And maybe I'm going to ask more questions about this, right? Like if they say they had a pot of coffee, I'm saying, wow, okay. So I heard that you're up at 6 a.m. and you're having a pot of coffee. How is that making you feel through the rest of the day? How's your energy? Are you exhausted by the end of the day? Sounds like you've got a busy life. Sounds like you're go, go, go all the time. How's your stress, baby? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, like where are you at with your stress? How much are you enjoying these things? I'm also listening for the food and hydration. The biggest thing is I'm listening for what are they eating? Are they eating out? And how often? Right? Because this is going to help set up and posture really for how much they're spending daily and weekly. Because a lot of us, we're going to hear things about cost. And this sets you up. If they say that they're eating out at Starbucks and they're going out for pizza in the evening, or they're so stressed out, they're grabbing something before they're taking their kids to soccer and things like this, this gives you leverage so that when they say, oh my gosh, how much is this? You're going to be like, oh my gosh, you're going to save money just like I did. This program is designed to be no additional cost to you. So these are keys that I'm looking for. And one of the biggest things that I like to add at the end is the surroundings. On a scale of 1 to 10, how really healthy would you rate your surroundings right now? Do you have a good support system? How are those people around you? Do you know of anybody else that wants to do this with you? What about your husband and things like that? Because what I know is the more people that we've got with you in your health bubble, the more likely you are to succeed in this. And at that point, this is where we kind of go into the share portion of the program. And so I'm going to drop this off and allow you, Jamil, to take the lead from here.
Yeah, I love that. Was that helpful, you guys? Drop a 5 in the chat if you just heard some things that you never heard before, or that just brought you some value. My favorite thing, the biggest skill that you'll need to develop as an Optavia coach is the skill of finding out what someone wants. You're going to do it now for your whole life. You're going to do it with your kids. You're going to do it with a loved one. You're certainly going to do it with a pre-client. Once you start bringing coaches onto your team, this is what you're going to spend the majority of your time doing, is awakening what they want, figuring out what they want. And then you're going to have to do it several times as your clients even become clients, because they're going to probably have some deviations, and you're always going to have to go back to figuring out what they want. You're going to have to awaken this intrinsic motivation. The great thing about a health assessment is this really is the first time a lot of the people that you're talking to are actually going to be honest with themselves. They've just spent, you have to understand the psychology behind this. They had just spent probably 30 years of making up excuses. And there's something about the human mind, there's something about the human brain that it doesn't want you to hurt. And so you'll ask them, well, how much how much weight do you want to lose? First of all, they'll say, well, realistically, well, uh, what I kind of be happy with. I just did a health assessment last night. I said, Adriana, what would be amazing for you? She said, well, if I could just drop 20. She said, if I could just drop 20 by December or by Christmas, that's how beat down she's been. Isn't that crazy? That's how much she hasn't experienced the success that she wants in her life and her health. Well, if I could I said, no. What would be absolutely incredible for you that you would wake up every single day and you would be highly, highly proud of yourself? What would that be like, Adriana? She said, well, if I could get off 45. I said, that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, let me ask you, when's the last time you were 100 and I think it was 40 pounds? She said, 2012. I said, okay, wow, man. So 7 years ago. Whew, what have those last 7 years been like for you? As you've been battling and contending and daily waking up thinking, I'm not at my best self. She says it's been more of a mental battle and more mental stress than even the physical. And I said, what's happened the last 7 years? How did you get to putting on, or how did you get up to 200 and some pounds? What's happened? And this is where these questions, it's going to force her to actually be honest. Because she's going to say something like, well, my husband, or well, the kids that I had 5 years ago, or well, my boss, or well, I had a sedentary job. And you'll say, okay, well, this time around, what are the things you'll need to change so that you can not only lose the weight, but keep it off? Do you see how I'm just falling in love? I'm falling in love. I'm falling in love. I need to understand. I need to connect and understand before we move to the opportunity to actually share. Because if I don't, then I'm not going to understand how to actually share this program properly to my potential client. Does this make sense? I'm just going to be speaking as if they were any other person that just jumped on his phone. So I want to bring it over to Sabrina May, who's just a fantastic coach. And I want Sabrina to come off. Now that we understand what they want, how do we actually share our 4 components to meet their needs? So Sabrina, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. So good morning, everybody. So we've learned a lot this week already about, creating our story. And so when Annika was talking, you can really implement your story in that conversation with those people in the middle or even at the end before you actually share about the program. So you can insert it in there where you feel it best flows. Some of us do it in the middle, or some of us do it before their daily habits, and then we kind of flow into the daily habits or at the end. So now we're going to talk about sharing this program and why are our components so important. They really set the foundation of our program. We deliver extraordinary results and we serve to better mankind. This is what we do. Just like Jamil said earlier, start my timer. We are here to share and care and not to sell and tell. And it's really super easy because on Optavia, coachanswers.com, if you haven't gone there, you got to look at the document library because that's where you're going to get the full assessment. And you can have the sharing script as well as the specific programs that we offer. And that's really a guideline for you. You don't want to read it verbatim or else you're going to sound like a robot. But it's really super easy. We have a script. So how much easier can that get? If you are just learning to do the assessment, one of the things that I suggest for new coaches is, and even if you've been doing it a while, I did it last night, I suggest reading the script and recording yourself so you can play it back and see if you sound monotone or where you can add excitement to your voice or make sure that you don't sound like a robot. Keep it super simple. And there may be times where you hear things on trainings, and so you might throw something in there and tweak it a little bit, but everything is right here for you to help guide you. So here we go. So now that we spent about 15 minutes, really talking about the program, or talking about what you're going through, I would like to tell you about the program. Is that okay? We always want to make sure we're asking permission throughout so that we can build that trust with them. Have you ever heard of Optavia? I'd love to tell you about it and why it's so different. Most people have not heard about Optavia. So then we go into, we are an integrated lifestyle program. We're not a diet, and we're supported by thousands of doctors. We have programs that fit pretty much anybody. We've got gout, diabetes, teens, nursing moms, and then we have a program that we will identify for you based off of what we talked about. Now I'm going to tell you why it's different. When you think about 4 legs of a table, your health is really the tabletop, and the legs are our components. If you remove a leg, the top gets wobbly. If you don't take care of the finish, it cracks. If you stack junk on top of it, it's going to topple over, or it's going to crack, and it's going to topple over. Our 4 components are similar to this. They set the foundation to your health and are equally important. They're going to create that stability that you need. So your first component is your health coach. I'm free. Pretty cool, huh? I provide that one-on-one support, which makes our program stand out. And as your coach, I'm going to guide you and help you change your lifestyle. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader, and I'm here for when you have those challenges and those victories as you work towards your goals. And we're going to celebrate the heck out of you. So I'm also going to be bringing another coach on throughout your journey to add another level of support and share your progress. Our next component is our community. And I switch it up a little bit on this one because I feel like the levels of support kind of flow together. So we also have our community as an additional level of support. You mentioned you want accountability in this area. This is me helping you be accountable, as well as the community that you can lean on to. We have an incredible private client group that's on Facebook that I'm going to add you to, which is made up of people that are just like you on their health journey. We're focused on better habits, and you can find tips and recipes and see other posts in there that will help motivate you. We also have Wednesday night webinars that add support and tips, as well as free nutrition support that we can contact if we ever have a question that we aren't sure the answer of. Our third component is our Habits of Health transformational system. And it's not just about getting your body healthy, but we really work on our mind as well. Our system is the educational component that's really designed to help you build that strategy for reaching your optimal health. You even get a life book where you can build your story and create the new life you want. You mentioned that you're stressed, and this is going to really help dig a little deeper to help you work through challenging yourself to be mentally healthy. Our fourth component is our fuelings. These are simply the tools that will help you get started and help you reach your optimal weight. So based on what you've told me, you want more energy, you want to take the stress off of your hips, you want to be more comfortable and do things with your grandkids by taking the 30 pounds off. I think that the optimal 5-in-1 nutrition plan is going to be the best fit for you. It's easy to follow. You don't have to count macros because it's all done for you. You have balanced nutrition where you eat 6 meals a day. 5 of these are fuelings, which have all the vitamins and the probiotics that you need. And then you're going to have a 6th meal, which is your lean and green that you're going to prepare, which is 1 lean protein and 3 servings of non-starchy vegetables. Plus, you're going to be drinking a minimum of 64 ounces a day. Super simple. Women typically lose on average 10 pounds a month. And when you reach your goal, we're going to transition you and help you monitor your health. What's even cooler is within 2 weeks, people are really going to start noticing what changes are happening and seeing that you're working on your habits, and your energy is going to be great and you're going to look amazing. So they're going to start asking questions, which is going to be a great time to consider coaching. I know that's a lot of information I just went over. So what questions do you have? So some of the questions that might come up, Annika actually talked about the cost question. So it's great to really key into the things that they are eating or drinking, and if they're talking about alcohol, that kind of thing, if they're going out a lot, if they're going to restaurants, they're spending way more than $15 a day. So this is a great time to, where it's most likely going to come up. Sometimes it doesn't come up, but you can talk about how our fuelings on average are less than $15 a day, which they're spending more. What does the food taste like? Well, I know my son loves my food, and so he eats my bars. It's a great way to get a quick snack for him, and I have to hide them. So, that's the food is great, and you have many different options. Can I pick my own fueling? Well, I set up your first order. So I set up your account and place your first order, and I put in some of the favorites that a lot of people order in there. And then in your second order, that actually gives you a little bit of time to try things out. And then your second order, you can have the opportunity to go in there and make those changes. So you'll want to jot down what your favorites are. This is one of my favorites. I don't like to cook separate meals for my family, or I want to be able to eat with my family. Guess what? You still can. Because you know what? My son started eating some of the same things. He never liked broccoli. Now he wants double servings of it. It's super easy to make tweaks to meals like pasta because you can create zoodles. And if your family still wants the pasta, if they want to try the zoodles, hey, more power to you. Incorporate the kids into your grandkids. Like, let's have them in the kitchen helping you out. Have them cut up the vegetables or mixing up. Simple things like take cheese out of the packet and put it in a bowl. Super easy. But what I like to do is I like to challenge them here. So I let them know you can still eat with your family, but question yourself about, is the time with them about eating, or is that time really about building the relationship with them? And don't forget to invite them, because sometimes we forget and we get off the phone and then we're like, oh, what's next? So Jamil, go ahead and talk about inviting them.
I love that. Was that helpful, you guys? Man, we have some really phenomenal coaches and trainers here. So Sabrina is absolutely right. I love, Sabrina, how you ran through. And if you notice some things, like Sabrina really took, first of all, this whole outline, this health assessment is an outline. It isn't like this robotic thing to where you got to just be checking off boxes. The whole point is to connect. Part of our 6 habits of transformational leadership is we connect authentically, we cultivate trust. And so we want to build the skill of connecting and speaking freely and using this as an outline and a guide, not as some like dictatorship type of thing to where we have to let me check off all these boxes. No, that's not the goal of this. It's to give you some sort of outline and structure so that you can use what people love you for, which is your personality. And so have fun with this. Posture up. This whole thing is about that. So Sabrina asked them if they had any questions. She answered every question that they had. And so once we answer all the questions that they have, we simply want to invite them. This is probably one of the most important parts of the conversation itself. Is we just kind of courted each other for 20 minutes, right? I got to know about you. You got to know about me. I listened to your story. You got to hear my story. I kind of fell in love a little bit. I know you fell in love. Now it's time for me to invite you out on a date. Do you want to date? You want to do this thing? So the invitation is so important, you guys, and you can't imagine how many people are nervous about the invitation. So they don't ask. And let me ask you guys something. If you don't ask, you won't what? If you don't ask, you won't what? If you don't seek, you won't what? So I've been on so many calls. And I remember as a new coach, I would maybe get a little bit nervous about saying, all right, dude, so what next? You want to get going? You want to get started? Let's do this thing. We just spent 20 minutes on here. I'm ready. I'm connected. You sound like you're ready. Let's go. So let's go over a couple different ways to invite, okay? So now that I feel like I understand what they want, I'm connected with it, I've answered all their questions diligently, it's time to date. So different ways to invite. On your outline here, there's a really simple way to where they invite. So from listening to what you've shared with me, I feel this could be a perfect fit for you and your lifestyle. If you're ready to go, I'm ready to coach you. What would you like to do? From listening to you and what you shared with me, I feel like this could be a perfect fit for you and your lifestyle. If you're ready to go, I'm ready to coach you. What would you like to do? That's one way. Sometimes I just say, Annika, oh my gosh, if you just knew what I knew, you would do what I do. I'm so excited for us. And I'll repeat back to them what they told me. I'm so excited for you. Forget that. I'm so excited for us. You said you want to have more energy. We're going to have it. You said you want to get those 60 pounds off. I guarantee you, I'm promising you, all you got to do is trust me. I know you don't believe it, but I know what I'm talking about. You said that you wanted to get back into that size 6. That's coming. You said that you want to do all these things. I know for a fact that we can do them, but it doesn't matter if I know. It only matters if you know. So what do you think you want to do? That's an invitation. But you see how Annika said, you know, the health assessment is about posture. It's about heart. It's about connection. So when I talk to you, I'm not just reading the script. I've freaking spent 15 minutes figuring out what you want so that I can get connected. And so I posture up. I'm bold. And I say, look, man, I know you don't believe, but I believe. And all you got to do is just trust me. Can you trust? Let's do this thing. What do you say? That's one. Another way to invite is I say, look, I know for a fact you can do this, but you're never going to know unless you do what? And then I pause. I have an uncomfortable silence. You're never going to know for yourself. I know that you can do this. I've seen, just look at my Facebook, look at all these stories. I know that you can do this, but you're never going to know until you do what? Until I try it? That's right. Until you try it. And the great thing about it is our clients get results. And you're going to know just within a week. And if you're not experiencing what you feel like you wanted to experience in the first week, then I'll show you how to send all the stuff back. But what I do know is you're going to be feeling good. You're going to be happy. And it's going to be one of the best decisions you've ever made. So what do you say? You ready to try? Do you see how these invitations, though, they're not cookie cutter? I'm speaking from my corazón, from my heart. This makes all the difference between coaches. Before I was so nervous and scared and like this little child running around this conversation. And then once you realize that you got the goods, my friend, you got the secret. Listen, if you just pay attention to what this person just said, they have not been where they wanted to be in 10, 15, 20 years. You got the gold. So a big part about the health assessment is posturing up. Okay, so if they're ready to go, very simple. We always place their first order for them. There's no exceptions to this rule. Write this down in your notes. I always place the first order for my client. And if you're new, don't worry about it. Your support team is going to help you do this. They'll walk you through step by step. They're probably even doing these calls for you. So you don't have to worry about too much. They're going to work with you hand in hand. Now, we always place the first order for them. We always order a kit with the Habits of Health transformational system. Okay? Unless they have some sort of strange allergy, which happens maybe 1.5% of the time. I've coached thousands of clients and I've ordered differently maybe 8 times? I don't know. So we order a kit with a transformational system unless it's something that's very strange. We let them know that, hey, your kit's going to be arriving, but we're going to get started even before that. And what I always do is I love to have a 2-for-1. So I always say, hey, who around you also wants to start this program? Who also wants to get healthy? Generally, people have health buddies. They've done other programs with Lindora, Jenny Craig. They have program buddies almost all the time, but you're not getting those buddies because you're not asking for them. So I always say, hey, what 2-3 people would also want to start this thing with you? Let's get them on a phone call and let's build this circle of trust. Because if you have more people that are joining with you, it's just going to be easier. Okay? So we always do that. And we're going to start to teach you on how to have excellent client support. But we always place their first order, okay? If they're not ready, write this thing down. No big deal. No big deal. No big deal. Doesn't matter to us. I mean, it matters, but in the grand scheme of things, no big deal because we're going to follow a system. So if they're not ready, you see it here on your health assessment. If they are not yet, no big deal. I appreciate that you may need to think about this a little bit more. How about I give you a call in a few days to see if you have any further questions? Another way that you can do this is, I appreciate you need to think about it. It's okay if I send you an email that has a little bit more information that can help you make an educated decision. It's okay if I send you an email that gives you a little bit more information. I almost never say possibly set up a follow-up appointment. I always say, when would you like to chat about this again? When would you like to chat about this again? If you see it's all about posture, I'm not hoping, I say, when would you like to talk about this again? And now we get a specific time and date, and we put that into our calendar. Are any of you coaches still not yet working off of your calendar? You can't see this. There you go. If you're not working off your calendar, can I encourage you with everything in my being to start doing that? Your calendar now becomes the boss. So now I just go in there and I put that appointment in there. We figure out when we're going to connect again. I ask them if they run into anyone and anyone else is really struggling with their health, would they mind connecting me? My job is to serve people. So if there's anyone in their world that's really suffering, would they mind connecting us? And then we take that health assessment, as we do every single health assessment. We take that and we move it to our client folder, our client success finder. So with that, I want to bring on Kirsten LaValle to really talk to us. I hope I didn't just take her section. Kirsten, did I take your section? Kirsten's going to talk about follow-up. But I may have gone over in some of your section. I apologize, Jarla.
It's okay. I'll flow with it. I'm good. So
all right, you are on.
Piggyback right off Jamil. So one of the things really important is to make sure that you are, like he said, set that date in your calendar. Find out, great. Would Tuesday or Thursday this week be a good day to follow up, and put that in the calendar. And they should expect you to be calling them that day. The other thing is that you want to then immediately add them to your contact list in Optavia Share. Get them there because they're going to then be on your mailing list, and they're going to get those the weekly newsletters from you. And then the other thing too is I always tell them in my health assessment, I'm going to add you as a fly on the wall to our community group. I don't ask, I tell them. And in this group, you're going to get lots of great tips and recipes. You're going to see encouragement, success stories, so take whatever. Yeah, and I even say this, even if you decide not to do program, you're going to find such value out of this group. And it's taking the pressure off of them, but allowing them, just to get in and see what we're doing. So then follow-up is really the key. Okay, this is super, super important. It is the key to success. Those that are not following up with these people are not having as much success as those that are. So sometimes it takes a long time for people to make a decision. I think statistics say 7 to 12 times, something like that, for, people to finally, say yes after you've followed up. So, what you want to do, and what, like Jamil said, is that after you've done the health assessment, you are going to put it in your binder. So everybody has one of these. If you're a coach, you received your binder, right? And in your binder, now mine has been used for quite some time. So in your binder, I have all my health assessments on the right side here. I have them ready to go. I was able to get one of those pads from convention, so I have a whole bunch of them. But I suggest, if you do not have one of these pads, print a ton of them off and have them ready. It stresses you out when you get that last minute health assessment and you're scrounging around and you realize, oh shoot, I don't have any printed off, and you have to try to write the answers on a piece of paper. So be prepared. The other thing you could have on your folder over on this side too is your list that you're working on. I keep my list, hundreds list, people that you're working on that month. I actually have this really cute little folder. I got it at Walmart like for 60 cents. And I'm constantly working my list in this book. But you could also just keep it here in your folder. You really want everything in one place. You want to be organized, have structure. This book, though, however, is great if you're on the go and you're doing follow-up and stuff at soccer games, volleyball games, football games, wherever. You could have it wherever you are. So the other thing is then you have folders in this binder. Okay, my folders kind of fell apart, so I have little tabs to replace it. Okay, but your follow-up candidate folder should be yellow. And what you're going to do is when you finish that health assessment, you're going to put it in that candidate follow-up folder. And then every single Friday, you are going to follow up with the people in that folder. Now, it doesn't have to be Friday. You could pick any single day that you want. It doesn't matter, but I'll tell you what, Fridays tend to be a really good day to follow up for a few reasons, okay? One, people are more excited on Fridays, right? Everybody's happy on Fridays. They're coming into the weekend. Fridays just always tend to be a good day for a lot of people. The other reason is that what typically happens on Fridays for a lot of people that have a JOB? Payday, right? They get paid on Fridays. So if they get their paycheck and then next thing you know, they're getting a message from you, saying, hey, Jamil, we talked about you getting started. I know how much you wanted to get off that blood pressure medicine. What do you say? Ready to do this? He just got paid. Why not? Cool. The other thing is that Friday is right before the weekend, which people tend to have parties, events, that are coming up, and they may not be feeling their best. They might be thinking about those events, and they just, might want to make the decision at that time that, they need to finally do something. So those are the reasons why, Friday is a good time to do it. Be consistent, be consistent with your follow-up. Like Jamil said, if you're not using a calendar, start using that calendar and schedule your follow-up. In my calendar, every Friday, it says follow-up Friday. And I book myself out an hour, and that is a rock in my calendar. And I book everything else around that. And you know what? Another thing you can do is if you're struggling with that time, make it accountability session. Reach out to a few coaches on your team and say, hey, let's do follow-up Friday together. Let's go meet at a local coffee shop. We could sit for an hour and we can do follow-up. Then you're going to guarantee that it happens. Or maybe you don't have coaches in your area. Hop on a Zoom, just like we are now. Put it on mute and then sit there and just do your follow-up together. Do it anyway. No more excuses. you're going to have success when you're following up, and you want to follow up with every single person that you have done a health assessment with and that you have talked to. It doesn't, if let's say you're 5, it's the 5th time you've reached out. It doesn't have to be, hey, you ready to start program yet? Hey, you ready to start program yet? It could simply be, hey, I was thinking about you today. You were on my heart. I just want to reach out and see how you're doing. It could be liking a post, commenting on pictures. Just stay in front of them. That's all you got to do. All right. Thanks, Jamil.
I love that. So good. So you're so much better at that than me. So you guys, we are rounding down to the end. Has this session been helpful? Has it been fruitful? Has it brought you value? Has it helped you increase your skill set? Nicole says, yes. All right. Well, we got one person. I love it. So, I think when it comes to, I remember being in such a groove when it comes to doing health assessments because I used to do so many of them. And then about a month ago, 2 months ago, I brought on a handful of new coaches. As a new coach, your support team assists you with doing health assessments. They're generally going to do your first 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe even, so that you can build the confidence, you can build the competencies and the skill set of doing the health assessment. And so I was getting in this groove again with doing so many health assessments with so many new coaches that joined the family. And I just remember, again, just falling in love with them. Like just falling in love with people's stories. Yet I would get on calls and I would say, okay, this isn't about me. Because I'll just be honest with you, sometimes I still get a little nervous. And when I get nervous, I have to check myself and I say, you're getting nervous because you're making this about you. And then I sit here and I say, this isn't about me. My job is to fall in love with their story. And then once I do that, it's not about Jamil anymore, but it's about connecting with them and figuring out where they are. What have their struggles been? Why have they had these struggles? Where are they at in their lives? What does their best life look like? If they could be anywhere, snap their fingers, wave a magic wand, stand on scale and see any number they want, what would that be? What does that represent for them? Who else is going to just radically get healthier around them? What is this going to mean for their circle of influence? What have they been holding themselves back from? What do they want to have revelations from? What do they want to do? And I just fall in love with it. And I say, oh my gosh, well, tell me a little bit more. Oh my gosh, why is that important to you? Oh my gosh, how long you been thinking about that? Oh my gosh, when you get really good at awakening, it's not going to be uncommon that the people you're talking to just start crying a lot because you're touching places that they have been scared to go to. And there's something called, now I forgot what it's called. But basically, once you can help them get to a point to where they can see, one of the tools that's really helpful is to help them get a clear picture as to when they can accomplish these goals as well. So if they're wanting to lose 50 pounds, and we say, well, an average candidate on this program is going to lose about 10 pounds a month. So you're only about 5 months away from being to a place you haven't been in 19 years. So if I told you we're in September now, we got October, November, December, January, February. If I told you in February 2020, you'd be back to a place you haven't seen since 1984 or 1999 or 2011. If I told you it's going to take us 5 months to turn back the hands of time, so 11 years, how would that make you feel? See what I'm saying? They don't believe that it's possible. And so our job is to help them attach this disbelief to reality. And then we simply share our 4 components. This is why this is going to work for you. And the good thing is I'm not hoping it's going to work. I know it's going to work. So you have a coach. And this is why the coach is going to be important for you based off of what you said. You have the community. You have this transformational system. Have you ever lost weight before and put that weight back on? Yes. Do you want to stop doing it? Yes. Well, this is why our transformational system is really going to work for you. See how you make it about them? And the last thing is, we both know you got to clean up the way that you're eating. There's no way you put on 60 pounds by having great eating habits. So we're going to make it really easy for you. Do you have any questions? No? All right. I'm ready to go. You? That's my invitation, by the way. So all right, you guys, great day. Thank you to all the presenters. Keep an eye out in a group for our assignments. Every day is going to be progressive training as you realize these trainings are building off of one another. I'm literally taking you step by step on how to build a formidable business. Now, it's up to you guys, though, to put in the work when we're away from this call and to come back the next day prepared. Yes and yes? So we'll put up and we'll now start moving into a little bit of social media before we get into having excellent client support. We'll really start to show you how we can, utilize this powerful tool. 7.5 billion people on Earth, I think 4 billion are using Facebook right now. That's a pretty good tool to start using properly. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. I hope that this was helpful. I'll put up a post asking for takeaways. Would love to see what you guys took away from today. Thank you all for being here, for getting up, and for spending time with family.